Does watching porn create mood swings? I'm Dr. Trish Lee. Let me answer that for you. Well, yes, in fact, watching pornography does cause mood swings. And in this video, I'm going to break it down in 3 ways. Number 1, I'm going to tell you how it impacts your life, how these mood swings might be showing up for you. Number 2, I'm going to show you the neural mechanisms behind how it shows up for you. And actually, that's 1A. Those are both the same bullet point. Number 2 is going to be when you quit porn and leave the habit behind, what happens to your mood then? Does it get better? Does it get worse? We're going to look at what happens when you leave it behind. Then number 3 is going to be your awesome brain tip on how to stabilize your mood as you're leaving the habit behind. That's your brain tip for the day. So stay with me until the end. Okay, let's crank it out. Number 1, what is happening in your life when you experience mood swings, and what are the neural or brain mechanisms behind those mood swings? Okay, so first what happens is you will be in situations that feel stressful more often, and you will be more stressed out by those situations. So let me explain it just a little bit. What happens is because your brain goes back to the screen so often to get a dopamine flood into your system of feel-good neurochemicals, then when you're in your world, in your life, so for example, if you're in your kitchen with your 5 children, making them breakfast, I know that might not be your life, but that's mine. But let's say you're there in the kitchen and now you have to deal with life. All these kids, you're making breakfast, yada, yada, yada. What happens is your brain is used to the flood of neurochemicals from the screen, and you have less in your system when you are in the kitchen, and it needs more and more and more. It needs to go back to the screen just to feel okay. So now that kitchen becomes twice as stressful for you as it would be for me. At the same time, your body and your brain is releasing more cortisol to offset not having the dopamine. Cortisol is the stress neurotransmitter. So not only will you perceive the kitchen scenario more stressful than I will, your ability to handle it is only half as good as my ability to handle it, because your system is being flooded with stress neurochemicals at the same time. And wait for it, there's still more. So we know that when you go back to the screen often, what happens is the reward circuitry in the midbrain is basically being fried out. So your brain needs more and more and more of the dopamine just to feel okay. It's habituation. So now what also happens is your prefrontal cortex, the area in your brain that is going from the front of your brain down into the middle to pump the brakes on needing those reward, that area is underactive. It's not doing its job. So you have less of ability to be able to bring your stress down. So you and I are standing in the kitchen and things get a little stressful. It's a little stressful for me. It's seriously stressful for you. And you're perceiving it as even more stressful. Then what happens is I can deal with the stress. You can't. So you feel even more moody and irritable, and you might yell, you might freak out, you might stomp off, because your brain is being flooded with the stress chemicals and you have less of the ability to handle it. Okay, so that's what's happening in mood swings. That's why when you go back to the screen and you flood yourself with dopamine, you feel okay again. But then if you go for a certain amount of time without it, you may get more irritable, which that leads us to number 2. Number 2 is when you leave a pornography habit behind, now what happens to your mood? Well, if you guessed it, it can get worse before it gets better. But it's worth it. It is worth it to push through, and I know you can do it. So when you feel irritable, we're going to go to the brain tip in a minute. I'm going to give you some strategies. But when you feel irritable and you are moody and your relationships are starting to be strained a little, know that you're moving in the right direction if you're leaving the habit behind. Your brain is unwiring, and you are going to rewire it with these strategies. Okay, number 3. So what can you do to stabilize mood? Well, you can do a lot of things, but in this video, I'm just going to touch upon a couple things. The number one thing you can do is stick to a consistent schedule. And it's important to stick to a consistent schedule because you need time for connection with other people and try to do it in the least stressful situation. So try not to make your time for connection whilst making breakfast and lunch for 5 children. Because let me tell you, that's slightly stressful. But if you're hanging out and you're watching TV, so you don't have to engage so much with your 5 kids, then that is a softer environment to engage, especially as your brain is adjusting. And then what happens is you can build up to, engaging in a little bit more interaction. But give yourself some grace and ease into connection, knowing that things might trip you up more than if you were going back to your habit. So then in that consistent structured schedule, you also need time for yourself. So make sure you're giving yourself the time for your brain to not have to regulate itself in front of other people, because self-regulation and mood regulation can be pretty challenging for you. And I just want you to know, because I know it's important to, well, actually it's important to some people, but it should be important to all people, that what I'm talking about here is based on a study from Lair and Brand. So this is all found to be true about people who consume more pornography. They have abnormal mood regulation. There's studies that prove what I say is true. So it will become more difficult for you to regulate your mood. So give yourself an out. Read a book, relax, do your favorite hobby, go for a walk. Don't put yourself in a situation where you have to be on all the time. The beautiful way that you can use your brain is have your brain be on, producing, taking information in, but then give it a break so that you can be by yourself and you can neurointegrate. I know for me, because I'm a type 5 Enneagram personality, I need lots of time to myself. And just about everybody who loves me knows that. I am on and I am just all in when I'm engaging with people, but then I'll be like, all right, peace out, because this girl has to go recover. And so if we go away with our besties, I'm the one who needs to go into my room and read a book or meditate or use my brain training headband. Yes, I do that so that I can bring my system back into the middle so I can go back and engage with my friends and family and be on. I can't stay on for 10 hours. It will literally kill me. I can be on for 2 hours and then I need to take a break. I encourage you to do that also. So that is your brain tip. Let me give you another brain tip also that you can think about. What we're trying to do is create balance in the system so that you don't have to feel the need to go back to the dopamine for a high. So what I'm trying to do is to help you to not hit a low. So another way to do that is to balance your system by eating well. Eat clean. Because the more junky food that you eat, your system has to deal with toxins. And that can really make your system sluggish. It can make you feel more irritable. We know food can impact mood. So keep that balanced, structured schedule. Eat clean. Try to keep as many things in the middle and balanced as possible. But those 2 tips will really help you out. Okay, if you are looking for help on this journey, please go visit my website at drtrishlee.com. I am here for it. I want to support you. I want you to be successful in this reboot journey because your brain and your life will thank you. On the other side of this is a better version of yourself that I know you want and I know you deserve. So let's do this, okay? All right, and remember, control your brain or it will control you.